Hi, this is Ruth Schmuff from Bedecked and Bedazzled. Today I'm going to show you how to do repoussé. Repoussé is a traditional word for metal that is raised from the reverse. So if you think about a mug or a frame that has a raised pattern on it, where everything bubbles up on the front, that's repoussé. We're going to do that on a needlepoint canvas. So we're going to start out, we have to make a form that we're going to wrap. I like to use a little bit of memory thread inside of my form to give it some stability. Most of this is done from the front of the canvas to the back. So you will see that I have just poked a rather sizable hole in my canvas. I have a piece of memory thread here that I'm going to sink from the front of the canvas to the back. I'm then going to poke another hole, one canvas thread away, and we're going to see how I can do at running this from the back to the front. That hole was almost big enough. I'm just using a laying tool to enlarge the hole, nothing fancy. And you can make a pretty big hole. If it's too big, you can always close it back up. So now I've taken one piece of memory thread, slipped it from the front of the canvas to the back and back up to the front again. So there's one canvas thread holding this folded piece of memory thread in place. That's what's going to give our tail for this dragonfly as we make it some body. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing with two pieces of pearl cotton or anything else of a similar weight. So for ease of use, we're going from the front, pulling through to the back, and back up to the front again, and then even out our ends. For each of these pieces of thread that become the core of your wrapped dragonfly tail, in this case, we want a piece that is approximately twice the length of the area. And we always want to use different holes in the canvas. Don't try to stick all 6 pieces, in this case, through the same hole. Spread them out. If you try to shove them all through one hole, you're just going to break canvas threads, and no good can come of that. So now we have essentially 4 pieces of pearl cotton, or in this case, Trianway Shinzu, because it's what I had, and 2 pieces of memory thread, all on top of the canvas. So I've got 6 things. This bundle is going to be wrapped all nice and pretty to make a dragonfly tail. You can wrap it with anything you want. You can wrap with pliable silk. You can wrap with a flat thread, whatever's going to give you the look that you want. We're going to use Sparkle Rays because I want a very limey green dragonfly tail. So I've tied a knot in my thread on the back, bring it up, make sure it is securely anchored. We don't want it going anywhere. At this point, you can take the needle off your thread. And you are going to just start wrapping. So hold all of your threads together and wrap with the thread that you want seen. We're going to cover up all of this inside stuff. In this case, we're using a ribbon type thread, so we want to lay it flat as we wrap. If I were doing a large piece, I would not have cut a length. I would just leave it attached to the spool, the card, whatever it comes on. In this case, I know a yard is more than enough to wrap this little dragonfly tail, so I've cut it. I just take it and keep wrapping around. At the beginning, you want to make sure that you push everything down. Now, right now it's all loosey-goosey, but don't panic. At the beginning, everything needs to push up and hide those core threads. As you get a little further down, it gets easier. Right now, it's fiddly. What can I say? If you know me, you know there's fiddly involved. If you don't like the way it looks, easy peasy. Unwrap it. Start over again. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So we're just going to wrap it. Getting it as close to where the threads come out of the canvas as possible. If you have to wrap over that a couple of times, that's fine. And it is sort of a game of, oh, I need 6 hands to do this. Keep wrapping up the length. I'm going to wrap off screen and then connect these videos for you and show you what it looks like when I get to the end. Okay, and we're back. So as I said, I wrapped the tail with, in this case, Sparkle Rays. I kept everything flat. I've pushed it up as far as I can toward the top, and I just kept wrapping all the way down, keeping it as neat and even as possible. You will feel like you need 12 hands at the beginning of this. Now, I use memory thread inside of mine because it gives it some body. It gives it something to hold on to. You don't have to use that. You can use wire if you don't have memory thread, or you can just use pearl cotton or any other cording. I just like the feel of the memory thread inside of it. Once I've wrapped enough, and I'm just going around and around with this thread, leave it on the card if you're doing a long length. You can add more in if you need to. It's really not pleasant though. And you know me, if this isn't fun, why are we doing it? When you get to the end, use a clip of some sort. This is a sewing clip. You can use a binder clip from your office supplies, whatever, to hold on to it so you can let go. You're then going to do the same exact thing at the base of the tail that you did at the beginning. You're going to poke holes. Poke a hole. Insert your memory thread. Poke another hole. Insert the other piece of memory thread. Everything else you can put in a needle. So your pearl cotton or whatever your main body fiber is, you can pop in a needle. Again, sink everything in different holes. You want them as close together as possible, but you can use different holes for each one. You're also going to sink the thread that you wrapped with. Doesn't really matter what you sink first, just keep a good eye on where everything is, because you don't want this unraveling after you worked so hard to put it together. This guy also gets threaded through to the back. Once everything has been threaded through to the back, Then you give it one last tidy up on the front, flip your canvas over, end off everything in the back. At that point, once everything is finished off on the back, you can tack your repoussé dragonfly tail in position. You can tack it into position with invisible thread. You can also use the same thread that you used to wrap the tail. So in this case, Sparkle Rays. Just make sure that as you're doing that, you're not creating lumps, unless they're decorative lumps. If you want to create sections of dragonfly tail by building up some areas, great. Have at it. Fabulous idea. But if you just want it to be flat and smooth, then take care that whatever you are using is not creating bumps. We're down to the last one here. Everything's on the back. We're going to take the clip off, hold on to everything, and just gently pull it all through. I'm going to flip the canvas a little bit. There's that little guy. You'll see that also with memory thread in there, if we wanted, we could create shapes. In this case, we don't want to. Now, what happens if you've wrapped too much? If you wrap too much, you can either tighten this up or gently unwrap. Doesn't that sound like fun after you've worked so hard? Unwrap a twist or two, just so that it will pull down flatter. And once you have it how you like it, tack it in place. A little bit fiddly, not too bad, and I think worth the results. So hopefully this helps. See you soon.